Association, Veterans Association. And we have with us Kwame Lillard and Professor Gloria McKissack from Tennessee State University, both participants in the civil rights movement. Professor McKissack, I think we left off with Professor Lillard talking about some of his experiences. Let's look at some of your first involvement with the civil rights movement. I mean, where did it start? It started at Tennessee State University, but when did you, for the first time, sit in at a place? How did you become involved in that?
Oh, the first time was at Wilson Quick, which was like a drugstore lunch counter establishment on Church Street. Again, we were recruited from the student union by Freedom Riders who were expelled from the university. Now the university recently recognized them, and they have their doctorate, honorary doctorate degrees, but at that time they were expelled students, and it was quite a controversy around that. But we went down to First Baptist Church for very brief training. Now, actually, the original people who were in the sit-ins got very extensive training. That's one thing about Nashville. Dr. King said that himself, that Nashville was the best, most well-trained, prepared city in the country for sit-in demonstrations. And of course, sit-ins is just sort of an umbrella term for just all kinds of nonviolent activities that can take place to put an end to injustice in the country. Actually, Dr. King identified more than 250 techniques that can be used in a nonviolent manner called Keynesian nonviolence, and the sit-ins is just one, but eventually students will be involved in sit-ins and stand-ins and walk-ins and just facing just any place, anything that was involved with segregation. And back then everything from A to Z in the country was segregated, including the school for the blind. But anyway, they were well trained by Lawson and others at not only First Baptist Church, which Kwame was talking about, but Clark Memorial, I think, is where they really focus more than any other place on training those students and practicing for nonviolence. So when Greensboro took place and those students at North Carolina A&T demonstrated, and they called for Nashville to support, Nashville was well prepared to step up to the plate, and ended up actually being the first city to desegregate their lunch counters. So that's part of the uniqueness of Nashville in terms of the civil rights movement. Myself, however, I came after Lawson and others had left, and sort of picked up the wand or picked up the torch and tried to continue what those vanguards had started. So my training was very little, but they set the stage, and because they did it so well, and as far as we know, no one in Nashville ever struck back. I mean, they were totally nonviolent and committed to that philosophy. So we understood what it was that we were supposed to do. So I went down to First Baptist, and maybe they spent 10 or 15 minutes, and I got it. I understood. And we went down to Wilson Quick and went in the lunch counters there, and of course they refused to serve us and soaped up the windows, and in fact they even put on the window Congo in parade. You know, we were the Congo, we were jungle bunnies, you know, and we're just a group of students, you know, trying to do our best to change the world, change Nashville, change our lives. But anyway, they were dragged out one at a time and tossed on the streets. In fact, pictures of what I'm describing are on the Tennessee newspaper's website. They're doing a series right now on the civil rights movement, and they can pull up those photos,
those images.
you know, and it's right there.